You are a very bad, dumb cat.
And welcome back to my channel. So it is the new year. Wow, new year. And I want to learn new stuff this year. Things that I've been kind of putting off because I've been afraid about doing them. And one of the things I'm very much lacking in my Victorian ensembles is something that's pretty important, which is a very lovely hat. Really, I need many hats, but we'll start with one and go from there. Because in the Victorian time, you did not go outside without a hat on. You just didn't. Actually, that was many time periods. You were always wearing something on your head until basically the 1900s, but that is neither here nor there. We're just talking about a very specific Victorian hat today. So the design that I'm going off of, I believe, came about in the 1870s, but I have seen fashion plates that show women depict women wearing this style of hat. So I'm sure it's fine for my 1880s looks. Also, since I have zero skill in this and zero knowledge and zippity doo dah day, know nothing about it, we are going to follow a pattern, and we're going to be following Butterick 6397, and they actually have a few hats from like different eras. This is the one that's more like flat and kind of pointed. You'll see it later. But yeah, we're going to be following this pattern. Just gonna let you guys know I'm not 100% happy with some of the pattern details, but that's okay. We live, we learn, we laugh, or something. I don't know, like that. And I don't really think there's much more else to say other than let's get to it. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell, and hopefully you'll watch more of my videos in the future. Let's go learn how to make a hat. So here's the pattern we're going to be working with today. I'm going to be doing view D, which is the closest to being like 1880 style hat. I've actually seen some examples where it's got the point. The way they have it styled, you really cannot see it very well how it's designed, because pretty much they have the feathers covering the whole like downward point. But you guys will see what I'm talking about as we get to it. So first step is the most boring, which is cutting said pattern.
You are a very bad, dumb cat.
Let's talk about fabrics. I do think for the main part of the hat I want this really nice black, which leads me to the question of what will I make my lining. So I kind of have a dual colorway, which will make the hat kind of go better with different outfits. I do feel black is very good for a core hat to start with, so I definitely want that. And I have some really nice ones. I've got this blush pink right here, which I think I'm gonna go with this one because in the contrast of the black, it almost looks like a white or a cream, which means it could go with, the hat could go with black, it could go with white, it could go with gray, it could go, or with pink. This is cool. This one is cool. I just feel like with it being striped fabric, it's a little daunting for my first hat. So I'm going to put that to the side, but that will probably come a hat later. Oh, and this, I really wish I could make a black and red hat. And I probably will in the future. But right now, I think we're going to have to say no, because I don't have any red dresses right now. So I think we're definitely going to go with the black and the blush pink. You can see how like the pink against the black is definitely giving off more of a off-white creamy color, but if I wore a pink dress, it would bring out the pink a bit more and still fit. Of course, the other thing we're going to need is buckram. I also have wire. Is it hat wire? No, it's second best thing, which is floral wire, because I don't have access to hat wire or millinery wire, I should call it, locally. And I don't have the time to wait around for it to take weeks to get here, so we're going with floral wire. If it's not long enough or strong enough, I will go with just general craft wire. So let's start cutting. So the pieces I definitely need is 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 25 and 26 are kind of optional. They're more like decor helper pieces, I guess. I'll see. So 24 is an interesting piece. You only cut this in your lining fabric, so we'll put that aside. 20 is the crown of your hat, so I need to have that cut in buckram, lining, and my fabric. 22 is the brim. Same thing, I need to have this in my fabric, my buckram, and my contrast / lining. So I definitely need to cut out those two. And then 21 is the crown. And this one, it says I only cut my buckram, it sounds like. It says interfacing, but they also said that could mean buckram. Now 23 is my binding. It's literally just what I want to go around the brim of the hat, whatever color. So figure that out later with how much fabric I got. You don't want it on the fold though for the hat, unless your contrast or lining are going to be. Does that make sense? I'm going to try and get as much of this. I don't want to waste fabric, in other words. So I'm going to try and really smush my pieces as close together as I can. Oh, I gotta follow the grain lines. Darn it. Okay, hold on. I better make sure I'm doing that. So actually this piece needs to go like this on the grain line. I'm terrible about sometimes ignoring grain lines, and I really shouldn't be terrible. I've been sewing long enough to know better. But, you know, sometimes I'm just not thinking. I did my first colonial dress recently. I have a short of it because it's the first time I've ever attended that time period, and I was being very careful then because I was like, oh yeah, that's right, you have to like cut this bodice piece a certain way, blah blah blah. Oh, it cuts like butter. It's awesome. This is so cool. And yes, I am very scarily doing this with real silk taffeta. Should I be? No. Am I? Yes. I mean, in retrospect, these are like remnant pieces I've gotten dirt cheap or basically almost free from a website that I buy a lot of nice fabrics from. So, I mean, it's not really any great loss. Like, I've had these two fabrics sitting around for ages and ages in my pile, and I'm just like, so let's just do it. Let's do it, because I don't know, it might be months until I want to make another hat again. So I'm like, well, do I really want to do all that work with just like some crummy cotton? Or do I want to make my first one really nice? So I'm going to go ahead, and I was right. 21 is just buckram. So I'm not cutting any of my taffeta with that, which is pretty cool. Mushu probably just made a big old noise in everybody's ear. So that's it for the black, I think, unless I want to do the binding in it. Now we're going to head over to pink. Blush pink. So the first step with all of these pieces before we can do anything is to iron them, and for all the pieces that needed the buckram, we'll be ironing those two said pieces. Okay, so now that we've gotten everything nicely pressed, we have our buckram ironed on, it's time to actually start on the construction of the hat. So we're going to start with piece 20, which is our top, and we'll put the lining aside for now. And what we're going to do is going to flip this around so that the buckram side is up. And we need wire, which I put over here. This should be millinery wire. It is not. I use floral wire because I'm very new to this and I don't want to go crazy on buying a bunch of supplies that I may be like never used. And the very first thing we do is we're going, I'm sorry, my table is super creaky. going to place the wire on top of the interfacing side, slightly inside our C-line, and overlap ends about an inch at center back. Then we'll whip stitch everything in place. Our center back is up here. All right, I really should measure all that out. But I think I can pretty much figure it out. So I don't know, I guess we'll just start at the middle of the wire and just slowly curve it as fast as I can. Right about there, I think. I'll work on the shape in a minute, and then I'm gonna just go ahead and twist this all around itself so that it's not going to cause any problems, and then we'll reshape it here. Probably should actually put like tape or something over where the wire ends are so it doesn't poke out. Okay, I tried to also shape it while I was off camera. I recommend using Scotch tape. Don't be like me and use packing tape because it looks really messy. Hey, sure. So the next step is we will sew this on. We'll whip stitch it on. And I've already gone ahead and made thread and needle. It's just gotten all messed up. Because it kept getting stuck on. And I'm just gonna whip stitch this in place. I'm starting to think I should have put the buckram onto the pink, onto my lining. But you know, that's all right, I guess. I hope you guys can see this. Maybe we'll zoom in and move the camera a little. Let's focus. So yes, whip stitching. Not a stitch I'm particularly awesome at. I'm not particularly awesome at any of the hand sewing period. I suck. This is so awkward. So stupid. I think this may end up being one of the most time consuming parts of making this project is having to go and whip stitch it. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and continue to whip stitch this. Essentially, I'm just doing stitches that are X's. That's what they make it look like anyway. Oh no, they don't make it look like that. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, ignore what I just did. So I'm sorry, we're just supposed to be doing a basic stitch like this. I was thinking that doesn't look right. So I just go over it, lock it in place. Come back onto this side. And lock it in place. I think I'm gonna have to turn this into my lining and unfortunately cut out another piece of the black taffeta to be the outer side, because this is not gonna look very nice if I try to use this as the fashion side. It's gonna look kind of junky, so we'll have to do that in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and continue to very painstakingly do this, and it is kind of painstaking because it's very hard to try and keep the wire from wiggling while you're trying to stitch it, especially through this thick buckram. So I have a slight confession, everybody. I realized that my whip stitching is trash. It is so trash. And I was really hurting, like my hand. I just did a lot of manual labor recently, so my hands are like killing me. And I was thinking, why don't I just do this on the sewing machine? And you really can if you're very careful about it. So I've set my machine to zigzag stitch. My width is at 3, and I'm just very slowly going to go over the wire. I'm not going to show you guys that. So here's how it came out on the machine, and yeah, let's just say there's no way I'm gonna beat the machine at being good. Now the next step is I went ahead and I cut out the another one in black so that it can be my top, and have your buckram side up, overlay this with your right side up, and we're gonna now clip it in place and sew all the way around the raw edge. You don't have to worry about the raw edge being exposed because it'll connect to another piece. So that's this step. I'm hoping this should be a fairly like a one-day project. Please, get off the sewing table. Damn it! It's a little hard to see, but apparently we notch to the seams where we stitched it. Like I said, it's a little hard to see because it's black. Even I can't see it that well. So I'm gonna do that a bunch. So let me just do a couple and I'll show you why we're doing this. So then we're gonna, that way we'll have a bunch going like this, upward, like that. And that's the next step. All right, so once we have a nice little hat bowl for piece 20, it's time to put that aside and we're gonna grab 21. Is this piece 21? Yeah, okay, piece 21. And how this works is we'll overlap ends of crown, interfacing, matching center back. And what I'm gonna do is just pencil where it says center back. So one side is center back and then like that. So basically, so this side's center back and then there's a bit of an overlap there, like this. See? And we'll do that and then whip stitch it in place. So I'm just probably gonna do an actual stitch because while this would be easier to do by hand, I just don't think it'll look as pretty. I'll tidy up that edge though. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pop over to the machine and do that. So now we have piece 21 and 20 and we match up our back center and basically put this on top, fold over that, and they say you can either glue or sew it in place. I'm not gluing this. So I think I will have to do this obviously by hand, and I'm gonna have to just slowly stitch all the way around. We'll see if I get any of that on tape because it's probably gonna look like a hot mess. Like that, we have run into the first problem with this pattern. So where they had me sew, my center seam was way too small. Instead, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually figure it out by eye where I should have it because, yeah, like way too small. So I just had to pick all the seams because I'm not wasting this fabric. So I think actually if I sew it just slightly overlapped, that should be, yeah, that's gonna actually fit. Okay, so I'm gonna re-sew this and then we'll start back up on trying to pin everything and then get it all attached. So now it actually fits, which, you know, it's fine. It was an easy fix. Wait, let me fix my veins. So now it actually fits, which is nice. Thank goodness. I've got it all pinned in place and it's not gonna bulk or be too odd shape. I mean, this is my first time doing any kind of, well, not any kind of hat, but like a very structured historical hat, such as this. It's fine. You know, this is the only thing about, you know, box patterns is there's always gonna be something. There's always gonna be something that goes wrong. And usually it's that their pattern is maybe misaligned, not misaligned, what's a good term for it? I would say fitted slightly wrong. The nice thing with this pattern is we didn't have to do anything except unpick the seam and do it differently because they had us overlapping such a huge chunk of it, which maybe that's why they had us overlap a huge chunk of it because there was margin for error. You know, there was a place to fix it essentially. So as I said, now I'm just going through the painstaking process of hand sewing this. Yes, the pattern said you could glue it. And while I'm sort of that kid in school who is a bad influence because I will choose to use the sewing machine over hand sewing if I can, I will, at the end of the day, always choose sewing over gluing. I just don't trust glue. This is why I'm not really big into EVA foam crafts because me and glue, we don't get along very well. So I'm not too much of a bad influence. I mean, but by all means, if you are following along or doing your own hat and you want to glue it and you have a wonderful relationship with glue, go for it. They say you can do it. I don't think it's historically accurate, but at the end of the day, who's gonna know that you use glue instead of hand sewing? I'm only definitely choosing the option to hand sew over gluing because, like I said, I just don't trust glue, and I do not want to put a bunch of hours of work in just to have my glue go, I fell apart. And trust me, that's happened a lot to me in my past cosplay years. So yes, I'm just gonna sit here and sew this. I'm actually probably not gonna sit here. I might actually go and watch television while I finish hand sewing this up. I'm not doing anything special, just a basic stitch. And that I do know how to do. I don't know, I think whip stitch is even considered the easiest stitch in the world, and I'm just like, huh? But this I can do. I can do a basic stitch. Is it going to be time consuming? Yeah, but in the end I'll be happier with it. Maybe. Or maybe I'll kill this project. Maybe I'll just throw it away, because it is a bit hard on my hands going through the buckram. That's the only thing is the taffeta is thin, the buckram not so much. So I will catch up with you guys in a hot second. It'll be literally a second for you guys, but for me it'll probably be half an hour. So, all right, I'll see you in a bit. So we're now working on piece 22, and the first step is I've got to draw basically this line, this center area here, on both pieces. So I've got it drawn there, and then I'll draw it on here, which is of course these pieces. And then I will cut that all out. And much like with the top piece, I now have this with that up. So I have the, I guess fashion side that's attached to our interfacing or buckram, and I'm just gonna put this side like that. Grab our little wonder clips, and what we'll do is, again, I'm just gonna sew all the way along the edge. They say baste, but that's essentially what I'm going to be doing. I think we're actually making fairly decent headway. Wait. Next up, we stay stitch the inner edge. So that's what I'm going to do right now. And just like that, we're ready to do the second part that needs wire. So this time we're doing the wire all the way around the edge as such. And I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna actually have to get 2 pieces of wire because this is not big enough. I should definitely be using appropriate supplies, but like I said, didn't really want to drop a bunch of money on something that I didn't know if it would turn out correctly or not. I'm going to go ahead and do pretty much what I did last time with my wire. I'm going to go around and I'm just going to zigzag stitch it on the machine. If you want to hand sew it, they recommend you use very strong thread and whip stitch it in place. I'm just not going to do that right now. So, yeah. So I just wanted to talk real briefly. I don't want to show like kind of duplicate footage. A trick for this is I know if I have my green wire going straight down the middle of my foot that my needle's not going to hit into it. I still always recommend that you go as slow as, just good, cautious sewing. Go slow, not fast. So here I've gotten it all sewn down, and it's time to move on to piece 23, which is basically us just making our own bias tape. As you can see, I've had to sew 2 pieces together to get the proper length. There's nothing wrong with that. If you look at real bias tape, you'll see they do that all the time. Other than that, I think the best way would be first to iron it in half like a hot dog. Let me show you this part of it. And then open it back up and fold the edge to that center fold on both sides and press it. like this. And then after that, it can close back up into a really nice, neat piece of handmade bias tape. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for the entirety of length of it. You guys aren't going to have to watch that. I'm really sorry I didn't get super into doing the bias tape sewing, but it turned out pretty good, I think. I'm not the greatest at making my own bias tape, so actually this is like a huge win for me. Next up is we do similar to this piece, the top. We're gonna clip the center and flip them upwards. You know, we get ourselves some little tabs like this. Flip that upward like that. I think we must be getting near the point of kind of bringing everything together. So I'm going to finish this up and we'll talk about the next step. Alright everyone, I'm going to go over the next few steps pretty quickly. We've got piece 24, and essentially, so I'm going to just zip through 16 through 19. So essentially the next step is I'm just going to sew this all together. Sew this up as such. Also, I do apologize if you hear my heater in the background, but you know, it is cold and I don't want to freeze it. But yeah, so essentially I'm going to just sew that up and then we'll attach this on top of it, and then it's going to slide into the hat as our lining. I'm just going to zip through that because you guys, I don't feel like it's that important for you guys to see that. But you just don't get glue on you. So now I'm just going to slowly go around the edge and glue it down. I folded this over as according to the pattern. Honestly, there's just, I give up on trying to resist glue. So this is piece 26, which is that piece that's going to be on the back of the hat and basically hold all the florals. Instead of using buckram, I'm just going to use iron-on interfacing because the buckram is really, really stiff, and I'm just a little concerned that for this piece it might be a bit too stiff to get it all together. So I'm just going to iron-on interfacing, and then I will sandwich the two pieces. Let me grab the other side. As such, we're just going to put our right sides together, and I think I'm going to leave this side open, and then I'll flip it right side out, press it, and then sew up that section. So here we got our little sickle. As you can see, I have not closed up the top yet, but I'll be doing that in just a second. Right now I'm just kind of pressing everything. And yes, I use black thread on it because I am just getting really tired and it's on the inside. I didn't think it'd be so important. Alright everyone, so I'm going to be honest with you guys. I give up on not using glue. This pattern relies too heavily on it, and I also don't like that it doesn't seem to mention what glue you should use. So I chose E6000 glue, and yeah. I give up. I'm going to be using glue for a lot of this project. So let's go ahead and finish it off. And yeah. Okay, so the next step is I gotta cover up this whole area with a ribbon, which I was not knowing I was gonna have to do, so I didn't have any solid color ribbon that was big enough. But very luckily, I came across that I had this trim that I got it for free with some fabric I bought once from, I think, Fancy Style Fabrics, I think, yeah. So I think that's perfect. It's got some pink in it, it's got the black. I think this will be a good match. I do need to have this very sadly cut so that's straight. And I guess I'm just gonna basically use my E6000 glue, and we're gonna very slowly glue this all the way around. starting at the back so that the seam is there, because the back of the hat will be kind of flipped up anyway. So again, they didn't really specify what glue I should be using. Maybe for those who are more practiced and knowledgeable in millinery will be like, oh yeah, it was supposed to be this glue, you fool. So what I'm gonna do is not put it right on. I like to put it like that and then smoosh it on. This is just a practice I've done with glue for a long time, because I find then it kind of forces it to bind it more. So this is not going to be a fast task by any means, because I need to basically just be very patient and glue a little at a time and slowly work my way around, or I could dislodge it. So while I sit here and have the patience of a saint, I'm going to let you guys jump ahead in time, and we'll come back when I have this all glued. And here we are, everything's glued. I guess that's gonna hold in place. I do think that this has turned out rather pretty using this trim. And I think it goes well with the hat. So now to add on this piece to here, I guess, the way this hat works, I think, is you're supposed to have the back like bent up like this, and then have this here, and then this will support flowers and such. The pattern doesn't really talk about how the heck to attach this to this. I assume by the picture they imply you sew it. Maybe it was supposed to be something thicker. I don't know, because I think like they want you, I don't know, it's stupid. The more I work on this pattern, the more I want to throw it away and never look at it again. So, but I think what I'm actually going to do is get a little bit of chalk and kind of mark out like where I want like the beginning and the end to be. And I'm just gonna do what the pattern's been doing all this time anyway, which is just gluing everything. So I think I'll just get my E6000 glue, go along just the edge, I don't know, very lightly. It's probably like the worst glue to do this with, because I'm gonna have to hold it. But hot glue would just look terrible, and quite frankly, I don't actually know where my hot glue gun is at the current time, because I don't know. I don't know, that's my answer. I just don't know where it is. And I guess I'm just gonna go squidgy right there. Yep. We're just gonna squidge it down. This is pretty much the base of the hat done. Now we're gonna add flowers onto this panel and maybe other thing. Oh, look at that. Oh yeah, I do have to hold it. I don't know. So I'm gonna hold this, I guess, for the rest of my life, and then we'll decorate it. Alright everyone, so we have lots of fun things to play with our hat. We got this part all done, so I'm gonna put sort of like what's suggested on the cover when you can't see it too well, but basically I'm going to be putting florals on here, and I got some really big, nice cabbage type roses. I think this is actually peony. I like it though. It does match the pink very nicely, so maybe appropriate. And then instead just do some maybe small roses. I've got red or blue or black to go with the black silk. And then I have, not necessarily a period appropriate, but I do have some very nice dark purple, I think it's fake wisteria, that's what it is. So we have a lot to play with. I also have an assortment of feathery things. So yeah, we've got a lot of options. Let's flip the camera so you're not looking at me, but you're looking at the hat, and basically me trying to figure out how I want to decorate it. Playing around with what I want it to look like. I think actually, as crazy as it sounds, I do want to put the wisteria on because it's just a lot of little flowers, and I think it'll help make it very ornate while not overwhelming, and just have one nice big peony. And I have ended up deciding to go with this one because I think it's very complimenting. This was like the next closest one, but I feel like with the wisteria being that dark purple, it just wouldn't make it look as nice. So now I gotta figure out how I'm gluing this. I feel like, see, like this is what I'm going for, the back look. I feel like I'm gonna do the peony first. You know, go with the big one, I think. So I could have so yeah, I think we're gonna have to kind of, because I don't really care about having the greenery. You wouldn't, I don't think you would see it. Would you see it? I don't think you would see it. Well, I guess you kind of see it, but the problem is my stem is a bit too long still, the plastic. Okay. I don't know, we're just gonna glue, because that's what we do here apparently. Just glue things, and I sure hope this lasts me a long time. I guess I could, maybe, I don't know, could I? I don't think I could actually. I was thinking maybe I could get this all to stick and sew, but I don't think I can. What I'm gonna do is I've kind of helped use those pins to help me keep this flat that was hanging down in place. I can't get it through the flower though. So I'm gonna just punch the pin through and we'll let it hopefully glue. Once it's dry, we'll put on the wisteria. I'm not gonna really talk too much through that process. Oops, no. So the rest of this is just gonna be kind of you watching me do it. And here's how the floral part of the hat decorating has gone. And I think it looks really good. This definitely is making this pretty uninteresting hat design kind of fun and look good. Now, we are done with the florals and it's time to start with the other type of decorating that was very, very common among Victorian hats, which is feathers. And I've been like debating if I wanted to actually use a pheasant feather, because I know like I'll put it here and I do know that it'll be really sticking off, but I kind of like that. So this will be the last thing that I'm gluing onto the back of the hat, and then we're gonna do feathers on kind of more the side and front. So yeah, I'm just gonna basically, this should glue a lot easier than the floral part, I think. Again, I'm just gonna do that age-old trick that I love to do, where I start up higher and guide it down the glue a bit. I don't, like I said, I just personally find that bond stuff a little bit better. Okay, and I'm gonna just clip this. I don't even know if I have to clip this because it's flat, so I don't have to worry too much. What's kind of cool about the pheasant feathers is it's got this odd, slight purple hue to it. Maybe it's just catching. I don't know. It's odd, but I actually think it looks good. So while we wait for this to dry, let's talk about the front. So I definitely want to use this black. I believe it was an ostrich feather that was dyed black, but I think that would like really bring a cool look to the front of the hat. So that'll be the next piece. I do have some interesting like these purple chicken feathers, and are those, they almost look like that peacock feathers maybe, but I don't think so. I don't know if I use this or not. I feel like it might be doing too much. We'll see. So the only part I'm gonna have to sew by hand is when I curved the feather down. I tried to glue it, and as you can see, it's gotten this residue, so I'm just gonna twist it. But yeah, once I get this fixed, it'll just be time for the reveal. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Oh, didn't see you there. Try and get the back of it. Imagine just like that. Well, everyone, that's a wrap for this episode, and I think overall, even though I had a lot of problems with the pattern and I was fussing with it a lot, I think at the end, it's a good starter pattern for someone like me, or you maybe, who is very new to official, proper Victorian millinery, or really any era millinery. And yeah, I personally think that it's not bad. Once you put all the dressing, like, it's horrible before you decorate it, but once you put all the dressings on it, I actually think it looks pretty serviceable. It looks pretty nice. I definitely have a lot to learn about using hat pins. I didn't stab myself, at least, but yeah, it definitely has, it's a little loose on me, so, you know, but that's fine. Practice makes perfect, and overall, I'm actually really, really happy with how this ended up turning out. I think I look now more like an official Victorian lady. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, this journey, whatever, new year, first video. So let's rock 2024, guys. And I will catch you next time. Bye.